Imagine if the bottles, scraps, and broken things you almost tossed away could come alive in your garden. In winter, they glow like starlight on snow, and when spring returns, they bloom with colors and magic. Today, we'll show you 25 ways to turn trash into treasure. Ideas so stunning, you'll never see junk the same way again. Welcome to Archon Aesthetic Studio, the home of magical upcycles. If you love seeing garden scraps reborn into fairy magic, subscribe and join us. We post new inspirations every week. Tell us in the comments, where are you watching from today? One, glowing ice bottle orbs, frozen stars. Imagine the night air crisp with frost, and in the quiet of your garden, small frozen stars begin to glow. These glowing orbs, born from nothing more than recycled bottles and water turned to ice, scatter warmth into the cold. The surface shimmers with tiny fractures, as if each crack carries a hidden constellation. Within, a soft golden light flickers, turning the ordinary into something ethereal. As snow gathers on the branches and the ground glitters beneath, the orbs breathe life into winter's silence. They do not shout with color. Instead, they whisper of stillness, of evenings spent under wool blankets, of childhood memories chasing the glow of lanterns on frozen nights. Their fragile beauty lasts only as long as the frost allows, reminding us that impermanence is what makes moments precious. When dawn comes, the ice will soften and the glow will fade, but for tonight, the garden is alive with quiet magic, a stage where trash becomes treasure, and even the coldest season can bloom in light. And just beyond the orbs, another idea waits to unfold. Two, clear bottle frost cloches plus vent ring. Picture the fragility of a seedling in winter, a tender leaf trembling against the breath of frost. Now imagine a humble bottle, once destined for the trash, reborn as a tiny glasshouse. Each cloche bends the cold away, holding warmth like a cupped hand around a candle flame. On its crown, a simple cap-turned vent breathes for the plant, allowing just enough air to whisper through. Inside, droplets form like morning dew captured in a globe. The leaves beneath glow softly, a living green heart in the stillness of white. These makeshift guardians remind us that protection need not be costly. Sometimes, it is ingenuity, not money, that carries life forward through the hardest nights. As the snow settles on their curved shoulders, they stand like a quiet army of guardians, humble, transparent, yet vital. And when spring stirs awake, the cloches can be lifted, their purpose complete, their story folded back into the soil they helped protect. Beyond these frosted domes, another vision of recycled magic awaits. Three, branch and pinecone lantern arch. Step through the quiet of winter and imagine a doorway that glows with warmth. From fallen branches and scattered pine cones, an arch rises, not grand, but honest. Along its frame hang bottle lanterns, each one transformed from forgotten glass into a vessel of firelight. Together, they turn a simple entrance into something that feels like a storybook passage. Snow gathers lightly on the arch, catching the golden flicker and scattering it into sparks across the frosted ground. The pine cones, rough and weathered, cradle the light with a rustic grace, as if nature itself has chosen to decorate for the season. Passing beneath, you feel both sheltered and welcomed, as though the arch whispers, "This garden has a soul, and you are part of it." When spring comes, the lanterns may glow among blossoms instead of snow, the arch wrapped in vines instead of frost. Yet the spirit remains, a threshold between what was and what is becoming. With branches, cones, and bottles once discarded, a forgotten corner becomes a doorway to wonder. And just ahead, the colors of glass will catch the winter sun in a dazzling screen. Four, colored bottle light screen panel. Imagine sunlight in the cold of winter, breaking not in plain white, but in colors that dance across the snow. Here, discarded bottles, emerald, amber, sapphire, have been reborn as a screen. Each one catches the low winter light and bends it into streaks that ripple over soil and frost. The garden becomes painted, not with flowers, but with glass-born rainbows. The panel stands simply, a wooden frame holding fragments of memory. Each bottle once ordinary, now luminous in its second life. As you move past it, the colors shift, shimmering like stained glass windows in a rustic chapel made not of stone but of earth. In the hush of winter, the glow feels almost sacred. When spring arrives, the same screen filters the early sun onto young seedlings, turning their world into a canvas of light. What was once trash becomes a daily ritual. Morning coffee beside a wall of shifting colors, a reminder that beauty can be made, not bought. And as the hues fade with evening, another small wonder waits indoors, sealed within jars like tiny forests under glass. Five, jar terrarium snow globes, mini forests indoors. Imagine holding a forest in your hands, a tiny world sealed in glass. These terrarium snow globes, made from nothing more than jars once forgotten, cradle moss, twigs, and pebbles like treasures of the woodland. Inside, droplets of condensation gather like winter breath, turning the clear glass into a frosted globe. When light streams through, the moss glows a deep green, as though spring is sleeping within. Placed on a windowsill or a rustic shelf, each jar becomes a quiet landscape, a miniature meadow, a tiny grove, or a dream of a forest beneath snow. The stillness they hold is not empty. It is alive with the slow rhythm of nature at rest. And in that silence, the viewer feels both wonder and peace. These glass worlds remind us that beauty does not always demand vast space. Sometimes, a universe fits within the palm of a hand. When winter passes, the same jars can cradle seedlings, shifting from snow globe to nursery. From jars that glow indoors, the next idea returns us to the garden, where bottles guard young plants like crystal domes. 6. Wicking Bottle Waterers, Winter Dry Air Saver. Imagine a plant in winter, thirsty not for sunlight but for the quiet gift of water it cannot find in dry air. With bottles once cast aside, life is sustained through a thread. A wick dips into clear water, drawing it upward as if by secret intention, feeding the soil drop by drop. There is no rush, no waste, only steady care, a rhythm as gentle as breath. In a world where heaters hum and the air grows parched, these simple waterers act as guardians. They are humble, transparent vessels, yet they hold the promise of continuity. The leaves above stay supple, their green refusing to fade, their roots drinking silently. There is poetry in this unseen flow, the ordinary bottle, the forgotten rag, reimagined as a lifeline. It reminds us that care does not always roar. Sometimes, it whispers in moisture, unseen but essential. As days lengthen and the frost retreats, these same vessels can serve seedlings, ensuring spring begins with vigor. Trash becomes tender, and the garden's heart keeps beating. From the quiet gift of water, our journey now moves to the flavors of winter. Herbs grown on a windowsill, fed by light and warmth. Seven. Windowsill herb rail from cans and scrap wood. Imagine the heart of winter, a window frosted with ice, and on the inside, a rail of green, fragrant and alive. From cans once destined for the bin and a scrap of wood forgotten in the shed, a kitchen garden takes shape. Each can, now brimming with soil, cradles herbs that reach eagerly toward the pale sunlight. Basil, mint, rosemary. Their leaves shine against the glass, a reminder that even in the quietest season, flavor and life endure. The scent lingers in the air, mingling with the warmth of cooking, turning an ordinary windowsill into a stage of abundance. There is beauty in its simplicity, rough metal softened by greenery, wood weathered yet strong, light refracted through frost and leaves. It is rustic, practical, and enchanting all at once. When spring comes, the same herbs can be transplanted outdoors, their roots already strong. The rail will remain, ready to host new seeds, continuing the cycle of reuse and renewal. What was trash becomes nourishment. What was forgotten becomes a feast. From herbs on the sill, our path leads to colors underfoot, a mosaic of bottle caps sparkling like auroras across the garden path. Eight. Bottle cap, Aurora mosaic path. Imagine walking through your garden on a winter morning, where each step sparkles like the northern lights. The ground beneath you is no longer plain soil or stone, but a tapestry of color crafted from the humblest of things, bottle caps once tossed aside. Arranged in sweeping curves, they mimic the aurora, blues, greens, purples, and hints of gold shimmering against the frost. Snow settles between the caps, softening their edges, while sunlight strikes them into sudden brilliance. The path feels alive, as though the earth itself has chosen to celebrate. In winter, the cool tones glow against white drifts. In spring, the same path bursts into brighter hues, leading your steps toward new blooms. There is a quiet triumph in such a walkway, proof that beauty can be built from fragments overlooked. Each cap, insignificant alone, becomes part of a greater pattern, a lesson whispered underfoot. And so the garden path becomes not just a way forward, but a story told with every step. From colors underfoot, the journey turns upward again, to the gentle song of melting snow falling through a chain of cans. Nine, rain chain from cans, snowmelt music. Imagine the silence of a winter garden, broken not by wind, but by the gentle music of water. A rain chain, crafted from old cans, becomes an instrument of the season. Snow melts on the roof and trickles downward, each droplet catching the light as it leaps from cup to cup. The sound is delicate, a soft chime of nature, simple yet profound. The cans, once empty and forgotten, are given a rhythm, a purpose. Their surfaces glisten with frost, edges softened by time, but together they guide the water in a dance that feels almost ceremonial. To watch it is to witness patience. To hear it is to feel calm settle in the heart. In spring, rain replaces snowmelt, and the chain becomes a flowing ribbon, feeding basins below, quenching earth eager to awaken. The music shifts, but the story remains the same. What was trash becomes melody, what was overlooked becomes centerpiece. So the garden hums with its own song, a reminder that beauty is not only in sight, but in sound. And from flowing water, we turn to hidden fire, a tower of bottles composting quietly, even through the cold. Warm core compost bottle tower, microbatch. Imagine warmth rising from the earth even as the air bites with frost. Here stands a tower, humble in appearance yet mighty in purpose, bottles stacked, filled with scraps of life once discarded. Within, a quiet fire burns, not with flame but with transformation. The core steams gently, a sign that decay is not death, but the beginning of fertility. Through clear plastic walls, layers of leaves, peels, and soil create a tapestry of change. The warmth seeps outward, melting snow at its base, promising that beneath the season's stillness, life is already preparing to return. It is a silent workshop, where trash becomes soil, and soil becomes spring. The beauty lies not in ornament, but in meaning. To tend such a tower is to believe in cycles larger than winter, to trust that the cold will yield, and that green will rise again. With nothing more than bottles and patience, a garden's tomorrow is being written today. From the rising steam of compost, we move to a gentler scene indoors. Bottles cradled in macramé, hanging greenery softening the winter light. Macramé bottle hangers, Boho window greenery. Imagine a window dressed not with curtains, but with greenery suspended in the air. Here, bottles once empty are given a second life, wrapped in the gentle knots of macramé. Suspended by cords, they hold plants that trail downward, catching light as it pours through the glass. Each knot, each loop, feels like a rhythm, the language of hands weaving patience into form. In winter, these hanging gardens soften the edges of a room, turning stark light into a warm presence. The green leaves sway slightly with the draft, reminding us that even indoors, nature can breathe. There is something timeless in the contrast. Glass and rope, fragility and strength, trash and treasure. These bottle hangers are not just decoration. They are companions in the quiet months, living sculptures that whisper of forests waiting beyond the frost. When spring comes, they may move outdoors, dancing in the wind, or stay inside, an anchor of green. Either way, they carry forward the truth that beauty need not be bought. It can be knotted, nurtured, and hung from the humblest of things. And from these suspended gardens, we turn to vessels of learning, clear pots that reveal the hidden journey of roots below the soil. "12. Transparent root view pots, kid-friendly science." Imagine watching the secret half of a plant's life, the part hidden beneath the soil. In these transparent pots, roots are no longer invisible. They stretch downward like white rivers, weaving through layers of soil, searching, anchoring, feeding. What was once concealed becomes visible, a living diagram of resilience and growth. Children lean close, their eyes wide with wonder, tracing the veins of nature's architecture. Adults, too, find themselves pausing, marveling at how something so common can look so extraordinary when revealed. The pot, once a discarded bottle, becomes a window into the unseen, proof that even the smallest container can hold a world of fascination. In winter, when the garden sleeps outside, these pots bring learning and life indoors. By spring, the roots will be ready for transplanting, carrying their strength into open soil. And so, trash becomes a teacher, glass becomes a lens, and roots become poetry written in silence. From these hidden worlds below the soil, our next idea rises into the air. Small sanctuaries built for bees, crafted from cans and bamboo. "13. Solitary bee hotel from cans and bamboo." Imagine a spring morning, the garden alive with blossoms, and tiny wings humming softly in the air. Among the flowers, a humble refuge stands, a recycled can, once discarded, now filled with bamboo tubes. To the solitary bee, it is not junk, but a sanctuary. Each hollow stem becomes a chamber, a safe cradle for the next generation of pollinators. The beauty is quiet, the neat pattern of circles, the gleam of sunlight on bamboo, the dance of bees as they arrive and depart. With every visit, life is carried from flower to flower, and the garden awakens more fully. This hotel, simple and rustic, is more than decoration. It is an invitation to nature itself. In a world where habitats vanish, such small gestures matter deeply. The can that once held nothing now holds the promise of countless blooms, carried on the backs of bees. Trash becomes shelter, scraps become the architecture of renewal. And when you pause to listen, the soft hum at the bamboo doorways is not just sound. It is the music of a garden remembering how to thrive. From the wings of bees, we now turn to gentler guests, butterflies pausing to sip from a shallow dish of water and stone. 14. Butterfly Puddle Dish, Broken Bowl Rehab. Imagine a sunlit corner of the garden where butterflies gather, their wings shimmering like stained glass in motion. At the center rests a bowl, once cracked and discarded, now reborn as a sanctuary. Filled with shallow water, soft sand, and rounded stones, it becomes a mirror for the sky and a table for thirsty wings. The broken edge, instead of floor, becomes perch, a landing strip for delicate visitors. The air hums softly with life as butterflies pause, sip, and lift again, each movement scattering light. Bees, too, may join, and even the smallest creatures find respite here. What was once waste becomes a place of gathering, a reminder that broken things can still offer beauty and service. In spring, when colors return, this puddle dish is more than decor. It is an ecosystem in miniature, a symbol of generosity. By reimagining a fracture, the garden gains a jewel, one that glitters not in perfection but in purpose. And as wings rise into the air, carrying pollen to waiting blossoms, the garden itself seems to exhale. From this gentle puddle of life, our journey now turns skyward, to a sculpture of branches rising tall, stark in winter, ready to bloom in spring. (15) Branch Obelisk Sculpture, Winter Silhouette, Spring Trellis. Imagine a sculpture rising from the frozen soil, its form stark and solemn against the pale winter sky. This obelisk, woven from branches once fallen, stands like a sentinel. In the stillness of winter, it is silhouette, simple lines, rustic strength, a marker of presence when the garden sleeps. Its shadow stretches across frost, a reminder that even bare forms can hold grace. Bound by twine, the branches tell a story of patience and resilience. Their rough textures catch the light, their structure sturdy yet humble. It is not ornament for ornament's sake, but a promise. When spring comes, these same poles will cradle vines, peas, or flowers, turning skeletal beauty into living architecture. The obelisk speaks of cycles, bare in winter, blooming in spring, heavy with growth by summer. What was once scrap wood becomes both sculpture and support, blending artistry with function. Trash is not waste, it is framework for renewal. And so it stands, a rustic monument in the quiet season, waiting to be clothed again in green. From this wooden silhouette, our journey turns to a sparkle of light, bottles reborn as glowing stardust markers along the path. (16) Stardust Path Markers, Salt Crystal Bottles plus lead. Imagine a path through winter darkness lit not by lamps, but by stars fallen into bottles. These stardust markers, born from nothing more than salt and discarded glass, glimmer with quiet magic. The salt crystals climb the inside walls like frozen lace, catching the light of small hidden LEDs. Together, they shine with a brilliance that feels otherworldly, yet close at hand. Snow gathers around their bases, reflecting the glow so that each bottle seems to hover, a beacon along the garden's edge. Walking between them feels like tracing constellations, each step a passage beneath a sky brought down to earth. What was once ordinary glass now hums with radiance, a reminder that beauty is often waiting inside the simplest forms. When spring returns, the same bottles may guide seedlings by day, their crystals sparkling in sunlight. Winter's quiet miracle becomes spring's playful shimmer, one story continuing into another. Trash becomes treasure, salt becomes starlight, and the garden itself becomes a galaxy beneath your feet. From these glowing constellations, we move to shelter once again. A cold frame built from an old window, its sides filled with bottle beads to trap the warmth of early spring. Mini cold frame, old window plus bottle insulation beads. Imagine a garden bed in late winter, still edged with frost, yet glowing from within like a lantern of life. This mini cold frame, crafted from an old window and walls stuffed with bottle beads, turns scraps into sanctuary. Beneath the fogged glass, tender seedlings stretch, safe from the chill that lingers outside. Their breath mists against the pane, proof of warmth where none should be. The structure is modest, a frame of wood, a lid once meant for another home, and bottles reborn as insulation. Yet its effect is profound. Protection, continuity, the quiet assurance that growth can begin before the world feels ready. It is a gesture of defiance against the cold, and of trust in the turning seasons. By the time spring fully arrives, the seedlings within will already be strong, their roots deep, their leaves eager for the open air. And the frame, humble in appearance, will stand as testimony that with imagination, even fragments of the past can shield the future. From the warmth of seedlings, the journey returns to the human touch. Gloves kept safe in a storage caddy woven from bottles and rope. Garden glove caddy, bottle crate plus rope weave. Imagine stepping in from the cold, boots damp with snow, and finding your gloves waiting in their own rustic haven. This caddy, woven from rope around the bones of an old crate, transforms disorder into charm. Once a jumble on shelves or scattered near the door, garden gloves now rest neatly, their place secured within walls of twine and texture. The weave is simple, yet its presence feels crafted, intentional. A small act of care for tools that carry the memory of Earth. The crate, once meant for bottles, has been reborn as keeper of cloth and leather. Its square form softened by rope becomes both sturdy and welcoming, a rustic accent in the mudroom or garden shed. To reach in and pull out a pair is to be reminded that organization, too, can be beautiful when born of imagination. Through winter, gloves remain dry and easy to find. When spring returns, the caddy will follow outdoors, holding not just gloves but twine, seeds, or tools. A vessel once empty now supports every season, its value multiplied through reinvention. From this woven keeper of hands, we return to the garden itself, where an old fountain is reborn, layered from bottles to spill water like laughter into spring air. Tiered bottle fountain, rustic recycled cascade. Imagine the hush of a winter garden, broken only by the gentle laughter of falling water. From bottles once emptied, a fountain rises, tier upon tier, guiding droplets downward in a soft cascade. Each level catches the flow, offering it onward, until it gathers in the basin below with ripples like whispered songs. The sound is timeless, the music of rivers condensed into a corner of the garden. The bottles gleam in sunlight, their textures refracting water into glimmers of green and amber. Frost may edge their rims in winter, making each drop a jewel before it falls. In spring, moss gathers at the base, softening the structure, inviting birds to sip and linger. There is something almost ceremonial in the movement. Trash reborn as flow, fragments arranged into harmony. To sit nearby is to feel both peace and renewal, as though the fountain carries not only water but memory itself. And when night falls, the same tears may glow with hidden light, turning their trickle into starlit poetry. From this cascade of water, the journey now flows toward walls, mosaics made not of stone, but of bottle shards reborn into blooming reliefs. Bottle shard mosaic wall, winter glow, spring bloom relief. Imagine a wall that catches the winter sun and blooms before spring ever arrives. Here, broken bottles, once sharp, forgotten, discarded, are reborn as art. Their shards, set into plaster, form petals and leaves, patterns of light and color that shift with every hour. In winter, the low sun strikes them, and the garden glows as if lit from within. Greens, blues, ambers, and reds spill across the snow like scattered jewels. There is poetry in this transformation. Fragments that once cut now heal the eye, turning damage into beauty. Against the stillness of frost, the wall becomes a mural of promise, whispering that bloom will come again. When spring unfolds, the same mosaics echo nature's awakening. Real flowers climb and weave between the glowing reliefs, blending glass and life until the wall itself seems alive. Trash becomes treasure, ruin becomes renewal, and even brokenness finds a place in the garden's song. To stand before it is to feel both grounded and uplifted, a reminder that beauty is not perfection, but persistence. And from walls that bloom with light, our path now winds toward playfulness. A spiral sculpture rising like a winter tree, ready to burst into spring bloom. Spiral bottle tree, winter skeleton, spring bloom sculpture. Imagine a tree that never sheds its glow, even in the depth of winter. This spiral sculpture, formed from discarded bottles arranged along a winding frame, rises like a helix of light. In winter, the bottles catch pale sun and frost, their colors sparkling as though frozen in glass. The form is skeletal yet elegant, a monument of resilience against the cold. Each bottle is a branch reborn, each curve of the spiral a gesture toward the sky. The structure feels both playful and profound, a tree that does not wait for leaves to be beautiful. At night, small lights may nestle within, turning the sculpture into a constellation rooted in the earth. Come spring, climbing vines weave themselves among the bottles, blossoms spilling over the spiral. The skeleton becomes clothed in life, proof that transformation is not bound by season but by imagination. What was once waste now holds both winter's clarity and spring's abundance. It is more than decor. It is a story of cycles, of rebirth, of beauty shaped from what others cast aside. And from this spiral of glass and light, our final vision takes us indoors once more, where broken bowls and driftwood join to form a tabletop fountain of gentle song. "22. Indoor driftwood and bowl fountain, broken pieces, gentle sound." Imagine a winter room filled not with silence, but with the gentle murmur of water. On the table rests a fountain born of fragments, a bowl once broken, cradling driftwood smoothed by time. From its curves, water spills in a quiet thread, circling back into its basin, again and again. The sound is small, yet it holds the weight of rivers, reminding the heart of movement when the season feels still. The driftwood, twisted and pale, tells of journeys across water. The bowl, cracked yet whole again, speaks of resilience. Together, they create more than ornament. They become a meditation in form. Each ripple shimmers against the glass of the room, as though carrying light as well as sound. To sit beside it is to feel winter softened, the air warmer, the spirit calmer. The fountain becomes a companion, its rhythm steady, its voice ancient. Trash turned treasure, fracture turned harmony. When spring returns, flowers may rest beside it, but even now it blooms, not with petals, but with peace. And from this indoor haven, our final steps flow outward once more, to the garden's edge, where an old bench of bottles and wood waits, rustic and enduring through every season. "23. Rustic bottle-base garden bench, sturdy winter seat, spring gathering place." Imagine a seat that waits through snow and frost, sturdy and patient, ready to welcome warmth again. This rustic bench rests not on stone, but on bottles, each one filled with sand, each one transformed from fragility into strength. Above them, a plank of wood stretches, weathered yet solid, carrying the marks of time. Together, they create a seat both humble and enduring, a place where winter silence can be shared and spring laughter can return. Frost gathers along the edges, shimmering on glass, while the bottles below glow faintly in the pale sun. To sit here in winter is to feel resilience, a quiet companionship between materials once discarded and now reborn as foundation. When spring arrives, the bench becomes a gathering place. Flowers bloom around its legs, vines creep along its sides, and voices rise above it. The bottles that once held emptiness now hold a community, binding seasons together. It is not only a seat, but a story of transformation. Trash into treasure, fragility into support, stillness into connection. From the strength of a bench, our final step softens again, to minimal bottles turned into vases, each holding dried blooms for winter calm. "24. Minimal bottle vases with dried blooms, winter rustic decor." Imagine a room where winter speaks not of absence, but of quiet presence. On the shelf, simple bottles stand, their forms unadorned, their purpose renewed. Within them rest dried blooms, petals faded into soft browns, creams, and golds, their fragility turned into permanence. Together, bottle and flower become more than decor. They become a meditation on stillness. The glass holds light as the petals hold memory, each stem a reminder of seasons past. There is no extravagance here, only honesty. The beauty of what remains, the grace of endurance. The rustic wood beneath them frames the scene, making every curve and shadow feel intentional. To pass by is to feel winter softened, not with abundance, but with simplicity. These vases do not compete with the world outside. They echo it, bringing the quiet of bare trees and resting earth into the heart of the home. And when spring arrives, the bottles may cradle fresh stems once more. But even now, in winter's hush, they bloom, not with color, but with calm. From this serene stillness, our journey turns to light again, glowing bottle lanterns that bring warmth to the longest nights. "25. Bottle lanterns with warm glow, cozy winter, festive spring nights." Imagine a garden where night does not fall heavy, but glows with warmth carried in glass. Bottle lanterns, once vessels forgotten, now cradle small flames or hidden lights. Their glow is gentle yet powerful, spilling across frost in winter, softening the longest nights. The glass, frosted or colored, turns the light into amber, ruby, or emerald, each lantern a jewel suspended in the dark. They sway on twine or rest upon stone walls, whispering stories of gatherings past and those yet to come. In winter, they are companions, making solitude feel less lonely, each flame a quiet reminder of warmth. In spring, they shift into celebration, lining garden paths or hanging over tables where laughter returns with the season. There is a magic in this transformation. What once was trash now becomes beacon, both functional and poetic. A lantern is more than light. It is presence, atmosphere, memory contained in a vessel reborn. And as the glow lingers into the night, the garden itself feels alive, carrying both coziness and festivity within its breath. From frost guards and fairy lanterns to rustic benches and mosaic walls, these simple scraps have shown us that even in the coldest seasons, beauty waits to be reborn. Which idea spoke to you the most? Share it below. We'd love to hear. And if today's journey inspired you, don't forget to subscribe, because the magic continues here every week at Archon Aesthetic Studio. Until next time, may your garden and your imagination always bloom.